All right, hello and welcome back to another episode of Chilli Discussion. So today we have our guest.
Hi, my name is Adam.
Energetic, right? Okay. So there's a topic that we wanted to discuss today in conjunction with, I think, the latest movie that we have on screen. But by the time that you all see this episode, it will be like over already, the trend. So what's our theme today?
Today's theme is Why So Serious? Using humor as defense mechanism to inner conflict.
Yep. So our topic is about Joker.
Very not so in trend anymore.
Yeah, but it's still okay. I do think that, the movie Joker actually showed quite a lot about the experience of why somebody would end up in such a situation.
Mainly the first movie.
Yeah, rather than just portraying in Batman being a villain and things like that, there are stories behind his journey to becoming somebody that is out of his own expectation as well. So to discuss about why so serious, things like that, I think first of all we need to know about what is defense mechanism. Yeah, so defense mechanism is a way for us to protect ourselves in simple, very short and simple. Yeah, it's a way to help us protect ourselves from anything at all.
Yeah.
So what about the concept of humor as defense mechanism? What is it all about?
Using the concept of using humor, most people find it comforting in a way to like avoid facing this tragedy. They use comedy as their way to escape that reality.
Okay, that's a pretty straight and simple definition for it. But then do you encounter anyone that use humor as a defense mechanism before?
There's a lot because I don't know if like kids nowadays, especially Gen Z, they tend to use humor to hide away their pain. So they would say something like, "Oh, I hate life" or something like that, and then they would laugh it off. Like,
Particularly Gen Z?
yeah, usually it's not just Gen Z. Millennials has been doing the same thing. It's like an ironic humor in a way because they know it's bad, but they laugh it off because it's like, this is bad, and that's funny because it's bad like that. So it's like,
Really? I do think that, maybe my generation, we don't literally use it for no reason. Probably it's just because we find it funny.
yeah. Usually that's another thing. I don't think it's like a generational thing. I think if not all generation, except for Gen Alpha, I think, they all doesn't see admitting that you're weak as something that you should be proud about. So most of the time people use humor to hide their insecurity.
Okay.
So they're like, like I said, they say something like, "I hate my life," like that. It's like a way, they use it in a way that is empowering, like, "Oh, I chose to hate my life," but in actuality, they actually hate their life, but they don't want to say, "Oh, I hate my life," because they don't want it to be a big deal, but they just want to let it out. So in a way, it is a comforting method.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what it means is that somehow people are making fun of the sad things that they are they're actually experiencing, so that they don't see themselves differently.
Yeah. Just like the Karate Joker, for example. Basically, the Karate Joker, he make fun. He doesn't actually make fun of himself. He's a clown, and basically that's the whole gimmick about people using the humor to hide away their pain. Because in a way, they're just making themselves as the clown. So basically, they know they're going to be laughed at if they were to admit that they're feeling bad or something like that. So they just embrace it, and they wear a clown outfit and say, "Laugh at me," basically. So yeah, that's.
I see. I do think that is something very interesting, because with the increased number of stand-up comedians we have in today's generation, as compared to the last 15 to 20 years, that, attending to be an audience, paying like hundreds of ringgit just to sit there and listen to people making fun of things is really unusual in the past. But right now it has become such a trend that people are laughing on the experiences of whatever they have had in their life, whatever they have dealt with. For example, my generation, I do not know about yours, but my generation was still something usual for us to be cane at home. And until today, we still can make fun of that. Without feeling that is actually a purpose of covering up things. It's just like, everyone is experiencing the same thing, we all can laugh at the same thing.
I see. It's like a relatable humor in a way.
I would say yes, in a way, but not as a coping mechanism, but more of what we all share the same experience for. Yeah.
It's a non-toxic way of like
Correct.
together.
Yeah. So there are a lot of things that we can laugh about, whether it's sexism, racism, or whatever not. I mean, those are the topics that people will laugh instead of, you just go out and make fun of yourself and say, hey, I'm this and that. I don't think other people can relate. Usually when it comes to comedy, it needs to be able to relate to the audience and the public in order for people to laugh. Or else it is not something usual that even though using humor could assist someone.
Yeah, I think it's similar, like, how everyone always make a joke about like, oh, mom with their, what's the thing called?
Hanger and pipe and also the hose and rod.
Many people can relate to that, so they, even though back then they would cry from the side of it, but nowadays we could laugh it off because it's not, we don't have to go through that anymore, but in a way we don't see it as something so bad.
Correct.
Nowadays. So in a way it's like laughing at our own expense, but there's no expense because we don't have to deal with that anymore. So we're just laughing at like, I'm glad that doesn't happen anymore like that. But at the same time, we make that joke because we know many people also relate to that. So in a way, it's like, that's like not really a coping mechanism in contrast to people who use humor when it comes to like something at the cost of their own mental. So I guess that's the difference between like people in the past and people nowadays really enjoy making humor based on what they're going through.
Yep. I think that is something that a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And also we make fun of newer generations as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially nowadays, I think the latest hottest news on the media was that they're going to take out all the exams to reduce stress among children in school and things like that. And nowadays we are all making fun saying that, okay, so what are they going to be when they face their first failure in life? We have delayed their development and progress a lot.
Basically, we're spoiling them.
Spoiling them, I won't use that word. I would say we are literally taking away the chances for them to learn resilience.
Oh yeah.
Rather than saying that they are not in place. I would say it's our fault, because it's not their fault. If the system is there, then it helps them. But we somehow, some of us that actually have experienced all those things are fighting, saying that, hey, they shouldn't feel stressful going to school, blah and blah and blah. And literally we are delaying the resilience among younger people.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. I think we have covered the first part of the podcast. Let's go into a short break and we'll be back after that to discuss further. So you wanted therapy, but it's too expensive. Don't worry lah, we got you covered. So right now, we have a total of 200 subsidized sessions with a limit of 5 sessions per person. You could have the session fully subsidized. Subsidized like us believe in psychology and FWD Takaful. So what are you waiting for? Just click in the link below and ask us about the fully subsidized session through WhatsApp. Your mental health is supposed to be the priority. It's free things. But if you do not want, share to your friends lah. Fine mistaking. Alright people, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed our advertisement. Now, to discuss further about dark side of using humor, just an introduction about it. So we all know humor is something that a lot of people are targeting today. Whether or not the thing is funny, nobody care. They just wanted attention in the first place. Just like Joker, when you mentioned that he was using his laugh to convey message to his own. Actually, there's something in that has been in research for quite some time, and what we call that is laughter yoga. Okay, and the science behind it is that the brain cannot make sense of whether you're laughing for fun, you're having a fake laugh, or you're actually just not happy. But as long as you laugh it out, the brain takes it as it's actually a funny thing. So it has been the market for some time. Now back to the dark side of humor. I do think that people are trying to use the same concept as laughter yoga, that whenever the things are miserable or anything at all, they still laugh it out to convey message to their brain saying that, it's nothing miserable that is happening. So from my side, I do think that there are people that are using dark side of humor in order to cover up personal issues or personal experiences. For instance, I do think that nowadays it's quite dangerous that people find self-harming something funny. And people are literally laughing off when they look at each other's wrists or thighs or wherever they could cut, that everybody has a scar there and everybody would laugh at each other saying, hey, you did that as well.
I think even now the kids are calling it barcode.
Yes, barcode. It's
So
been
they're
around.
basically joking around saying like, scan this.
I think for those kids, they are calling it barcode. For me, I have known this as barcode for some time. Right now, I changed it already. Instead of a barcode, I call it as a voice message.
Voice message.
Whenever you send voice message to WhatsApp, you also see the long short code, right?
You're missing the play button.
I was like, okay, I call it a voice message. So what are you trying to tell? What story are you trying to say? It's like a long short thing.
That's funny because the longer it is, the longer
the story is. So it really depends on the situation. So I have this question in mind when it comes to this topic because you created the topic, right? Can humor become a barrier to healing or create disconnection from reality?
Well, like you said earlier,
the laughter yoga.
The whole thing about like them misdirecting their brain from registering that the thing that they are experiencing is actually a terrible thing, so they just laugh it off in a way that tricks their brain to think that is something that isn't that negative. So in a way, that means that they're just not registering in their brain that this is bad. They just want to accept like, it's whatever.
So that's the bad side of it. So people don't remember the lesson they learn from each experience.
Mainly because it creates a disconnect from reality, because in their head they just making up, like, I don't know if they, how in shows like Seinfeld or The Office, usually a character will have like something terrible happen to them and then there's a laugh track. So basically the joke is at the person's expense. So they think in the same way, they think that their pain is causing other people's laughter, even if those people doesn't exist, like the Joker. So he creates like this fake reality where his pain benefit him somehow, but it doesn't really. It's like it gives them attention, basically, they think.
So it seems that it is very hard to find a balance between the two. Is there any way that we can find a balance between the two?
Pretty hard, because usually, positivity is great, but to cover your negative thoughts and negative experiences with supposedly positive facade is not very healthy, I don't think. It's pretty hard to find a balance between humoring your pain and paining your humor, I don't know. So it's a bit hard for me to say how to balance it. What do you think?
I think that I actually have the same thought. That, balancing is not that easy, because when you're trying to portray yourself to the public using humor, you're actually exposing your vulnerability and also the weak side of yours. But at the same time, like what you say, we are not acknowledging the issue, but we are just trying to escape from the reality. Like there's another form of reality that's happening.
Yeah.
So I think that this is something that is concerning in our society today. That when people do not take what the reality is as it is, it would cause a huge issue of the aftermath. So what happened is that, according to psychology, people remember pain easier, much faster, and easily retrieve from the long-term memory. Because pain is where we learn. So if I were to ask anybody at all to list out 10 painful experiences and 10 happy experiences, I would say a lot of people will be struggling to write down what their happy memories are. Instead of, there has been a lot of researches that actually been done in this. And one best research that we have seen, not to say from an author, but multiple authors, is that whenever a relationship, people have been together for about 2 decades, 3 decades, 20, 30 years. But they can still remember, what is bitter from the first day. You ask them about what are the happy memories in the 20, 30 years. They will, struggle in picking and things like that. But logically speaking, you can't stay with a person for 20, 30 years without happy memories.
Yeah.
There's no booster and motivation for you all to continue the journey. So there must be a lot, much, much more than the painful ones. But people could remember the painful ones rather than
the negative ones.
Yeah, so it is actually part of our growth, human development, that painful memories are easier to remember, easier to retrieve from long-term memory, so that we learn things and not to fall into that loop again. So that the longkang is there, you won't literally fall 2 to 3 times repeatedly your mistake, because there's a longkang there. You know that the kettle is hot. You do not need 5 to 6 times to go and touch it to learn that it's hot. Once is more than enough. So when we are using humor to cover it up, means we never learn.
Yeah, basically we're going to keep touching the heart.
Correct. We're not learning, and it's not registered in our brain that this is something that is not supposed to be. As compared to the one that I told you, like a stand-up comedian, that's a total different story. Because we all have experienced the pain. We know that's painful, and we are just laughing at the pain because things are over.
Yeah.
Rather than, people that are currently still in that state and they're making fun of it.
Yeah.
So that is something concerning for me.
Just going back to the movie Joker, I think that's one of the most concerning thing is the fact that many people relate to him.
Yes.
It's scary because obviously the Joker movie is over-exaggerated a bit, but because obviously like the laughing condition that the Joker have, and the fact that he was told by his mom that he was brought to this world to bring laughter. Yeah, so in a way, it wasn't exactly relatable. Like not everyone is told the same thing, but for some reason people still feel the same thing, as in like they make a fool of themselves just to get attention, and that's really sad to me because it's not just attention too, it's just a way to show that they exist and show their pain, but at the same time they don't want people to see them as self-pitying.
Correct.
Yeah. So
that is the main thing that I think, because a lot of people nowadays do not want to self-pity.
Yeah.
It is totally okay of not wanting to self-pity, but we need to learn.
Yeah, I think most of the time it's not because they don't want to, it's just that the environment doesn't encourage that. They don't want, other people don't want that person to self-pity because, why are you being so sad about yourself like that? Everyone have to go through worse, so they just block it off.
True.
That's the problem.
I will agree with that as well. Yeah. So in today's podcast, it's very short and simple. We are going to just talk about how dark side of humor affect people. and we were discussing about how to find a balance as well. So I think the conclusion of today's podcast is that humor as a defense mechanism has its own benefit, but there are also a lot of risk. It's not just the benefit. Yeah, and humor might be a temporary relief, but it cannot be long term. If it's used long term, then something is not right in this whole scenario. There's no processing, people are not talking properly and things like that. So in this way, I would say there are pros and cons. We just need to use it with a pinch of salt to know that what is when and what is the time to use it. Yeah. Any last words for our audience?
Laughing isn't the best medicine. I think is the best. Smile is a good medicine, but laughing isn't. So that's all I think.
True. I agree with that as well. And I do hope that people watch our podcast do understand that laughing is actually not medicine for everything. Because especially actually nowadays, a lot of people try to bring laughter into hospitals for those that are in palliative care and also at hospice care. It means they're dying. These people are dying and they know that they are dying. You bringing in the laughter to them doesn't resolve the thing, because they will still go back to depression after that.
It's like distracting them. It doesn't last forever.
It doesn't last forever. So we all need to know that we shouldn't put in too much of that, because maybe today you are the organizer, tomorrow I'm the organizer, the day after somebody else is organizing. We are trying to burn their energy every day by laughing towards things that are not literally useful. All right, so I think that's all for today. If you like our podcast, please do like, subscribe, comment, and share it out with other people, so that more people get to learn new knowledge from us on a weekly basis. Yep, I think that's all for today. See you next episode. Bye.